Hi YouTube, I owe you a post. Time moves on, things change. When last I left you, my wife and I were considering IVF with ICSI. I'm not going to go back over the terms, but basically we're talking about the far end of fertility treatment. As well, the concern was that if I wasn't able to give a usable sample on the day of the procedure, when they take the ovum out of my wife and they need to fertilize them, I would have a surgical procedure, a biopsy, something called micro-tese, where they would surgically go looking for viable sperm. So we were, sort of very much getting cold feet. So we thought we would get a second opinion. So the story is, it turns out that a family friend, we have physicians in the family, so was a gynecologist, or is a gynecologist. So we made an appointment to speak to him. And it turns out that we got a very, very hard sell to go with a different clinic. Now I know a lot of you are cringing out there, and so was I, and am I to some extent. But this is a reputable clinic. The cost is going to be a bit lower, and after thinking about it for a while, we figured this is our only chance to have a child genetically of our own, and I'm going to leave the ongoing debates elsewhere about whether that matters at all out of this particular post. And so we've decided to go forward, and once we made that decision, my goodness, do things move quickly. Now, first of all, for my own part, the samples that I've been giving lately have been improving. I have no idea why. Maybe a good lifestyle is finally kicking in, or maybe the vitamins are finally kicking in, or maybe it's the way the moon is rising. I have no idea. But for now, things are actually looking pretty good. And it may be that I may need no surgical procedure and may not need to rely on a donor backup, which I need to talk to the doctor about. But in any case, things sort of, as far as I'm concerned, are looking a lot better. Certainly what I've produced as tests would have been viable for the procedure. So that's good news. As well, they do further testing on my wife, and we just had further confirmation that she's working fine. When she had her ultrasound, again, I'm not going to explain details, but a follicle had, grown properly at the time in her cycle when it was supposed to have, and she was ovulating the way she was supposed to, and everything is working the way it should. So we decided that really time is not working for us in this case. We might as well get on with it if we were going to. The cost is still quite high. Thankfully, I am extremely, extremely fortunate and was able to get help. And this is just fortune. You're born in a country that isn't in the middle of blowing up, and that is a flip of the die, or a flip of the coin, and it just happened to turn up my way. And this is another thing that's turned up my way, and as I mentioned in another post, I count my blessings, and there are a lot of them. So in this, we are very fortunate. But moving along, once we decided to go ahead, poof, off we go, off to the races. They started my wife, because she was at a particularly useful stage in her cycle, on something called Lupron. Basically, with IVF, what they do is shut the woman's normal menstrual cycle down completely, and then take control of it and encourage her to ovulate lots of ovum all at once. Normally, you don't do this. And then they extract them on the day of the extraction, and then fertilize them. And then you have, hopefully, a whole bunch of ovum that have been fertilized that you can reimplant one or two, and then you actually have a reserve. So that's what is supposed to happen. They shut the cycle down, and to do that, they're using for her something called Lupron, and it basically induces temporarily for the cycle menopause, with all of its inherent symptoms. So my brave wife is now got hot flushes and nausea and mood swings. Now, the question is, for the women out there, is this debilitating? Is this a reason not to go through the cycle? I'm not in a position to say. I'm giving her these injections, and that's about the extent of my involvement, other than commiserating. she's holding up remarkably well. I mean, she's still able to go to work. She puts on a brave face, and it's hard to say really how much she's suffering. I think she's extremely uncomfortable. I think that she is bearing up remarkably well given what she's going through. And of course I feel massive guilt because the only reason she has to go through this is because I don't work properly. So for those of you deciding whether or not to go through this procedure, my sense is at least this stage is crappy, but not a reason not to. Like, we're not at that stage. It's a very uncomfortable menstrual cycle, basically. And so that's sort of tailing off right now. She's hit the end of her menstrual cycle. She's menstruating now, which is what we've been waiting for, which is good. And in fact, now we go back to the clinic and they start priming her to produce lots and lots of ovum. That's another set of drugs with its own set of symptoms. So I'm not going to pull any punches. I'll describe it as best as I can as we go along so that there's sort of an honest record of this. But it's really, I'm sorry. There are bits of this saga where I've said, women, I'm sorry, you just don't understand what guys go through when they deal with this aspect of infertility. This is one aspect that I feel very unqualified to really comment, but as best as I can observe, I'll tell you how it goes. So that's where we are. We've started a cycle. It's exciting. It's terrifying. We could be giving you very good news within a month or two, or we could have very poor news in a month or two, or I don't know what's going to happen. I really don't. This is, as one science fiction character put it, brown trousers time. I'm not sure what's going to happen. I hope it'll be good. So many of you have said you've prayed for us and you wish us well, and believe me, that is so helpful. We really take it to heart. I know I owe a lot of you replies, and I have not been quick about it. And I think you can understand how my attention and time have been a bit divided lately. But your support is extremely appreciated. I've read everything you've written, and I will hopefully get to things when I can. But standing still and thinking straight is not one of my qualities right now. Moving on, we'll see what happens. This could be very good news. It, as I've said, looks like I may not have to rely on a sperm donation. I'm going to say up front here that if in fact I do resort to sperm donation, I may not tell you. I may in fact lie. So if we have a successful pregnancy using sperm donation, I may not make you aware of that fact. And I think the wiser among you can understand why. This is not... I'm free to tell my own story. My wife has been so kind as to let me tell hers as well. I cannot tell the story of my child. That's for them to tell you. And hopefully there will be one to tell you the story from, about. Maybe we'll sing it. Anyway, have a wonderful week. We are at the end of August now. Probably mid-September-ish is when we're looking at the procedure itself. The next few weeks are going to be difficult. And then the weeks after that will probably also be difficult. But hopefully it'll all be worthwhile. If there is disappointment at the end of this, if this doesn't work, of course I'll tell you about it. I'm not quite sure what kind of mood I'll be in. Because this is really ultimately the last chance. If we don't get successfully fertilized ovum out of this, it's kind of the end of the line. Now, if we end up with fertilized ovum and this particular pregnancy doesn't take and there's a reserve, we're not at the end of the line. We just may try again with those other ovum, but that's far in the future, and I've found that in this process, thinking ahead is not helping me. So take it one day at a time, and we'll see where it takes us, and hopefully it'll take us somewhere towards a crib. Anyway, so we'll see you later. Be well, and